So we have our answer. Prince Harry is indeed coming to the coronation. We've been waiting so long for the answer. We discussed this just the other day as we got the answer yesterday, but boy, oh boy, the press regarding Meghan is something else. And that's what I wanted to discuss tonight. So we have been waiting for a long time to get an answer regarding the King Charles's coronation. And yesterday we got our answer, but the RSVP was supposed to be on April 3rd, and it didn't come in right on time. And yesterday we did find out that Prince Harry will be attending King Charles's coronation, his father's coronation, on May 6th, but without Meghan. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that tonight. We're just going to have a quick conversation because the British tabloids especially are losing their you-know-what. They are going absolutely out of their mind on full combat, like it's major combat regarding Meghan. And so that's what I wanted to discuss tonight because I want to know if you guys think it's fair or not. So hello, everybody. I am Deanna from Hot for History. I'm very excited to talk to you tonight. And I have the title of this, Meghan Snubs the King. Is that true? Did she snub the king? Hi, everybody. Let me know where you're from. I am here in Florida, in sunny Florida. Everything's great. We have quite a headline that I'm holding back to show you because when I saw it, I was like, I have to go live again because we need to discuss this because even I was like, oh, it's from the Sun. The headline from the Sun. Yes. And is it Joan? Yeah, Joan, hold on for that because I want to talk about that. Did Meghan snub the king? Okay, so apparently this is what I want to talk about, guys. Look at this. Let me expand it. I mean, this I thought was a joke. I was positive this headline was a joke because it seems very extreme. So in my opinion, hello from Georgia, Singapore. My son was in Singapore recently. He says that it's like the best city in the world. He loves it so much. Chicago, you're my kind of girl because I'm a Chicago-ish girl, North Central Illinois. That's where I'm from originally. Alabama, North Carolina. I lived in Cary, North Carolina for many years. From Kentucky, we are praying for Kentucky. And we'll talk about this because here it is. All right. So we went on the other day and we were somewhat like, oh, Meghan's not coming. That is such a slap in the face, right? We were so upset. But at the same time, yes, Archie's having his birthday, yada, yada, yada. We all thought, okay, she should have at least come. The kids can't really come to the main part, of the coronation. It's 90 minutes. They're not going to sit through that. Maybe they could bring the kids. The kids could stay at Buckingham Palace. They'll all get together later. They'll see grandpa, the whole 9 yards. So that's what we were talking about yesterday. And we had a really great kind of mixed group like we usually do. Like we have some people, here that love them, some people that hate them. And so, but this headline really gets to me. Okay, we're going to talk about this headline in a second. So Dominic, I am fascinated about the monarchy right now. And I've only been studying it. I don't consider myself an expert. I consider myself sort of somebody who's like a history buff, I would say. So I've really only been researching for a while. So I don't consider myself an expert, but I do love history. I like quirky history. That's why Hot for History started. I was telling a story of my 160-year-old home and genealogy. I love genealogy. I love family trees. And you're going to be seeing some vlogs from me of my home, my 160-year-old home. I'm not in it now, but you will see it and it'll be fascinating to you. And so I started in history with that. Then the Queen passed away. I had already had content regarding the British monarchy up and we started to talk about it. And then Harry and Meghan went all through this stuff. So I want to know your opinion before I read this article because I feel, in my opinion, I'm not a huge fan of Meghan's, but I also can see their side. And I also think that the monarchy and especially the royal family is a bit off. I think we're watching a you know what show. Like it's just a lot of dysfunction. But when I saw this, it was like they came out, in my opinion, they went commando. Like they took everything off and they're like punching, like this headline to me was like, whoa. Not the same thing, but do you guys think the headline was warranted? It says the king was there for you. So sad you can't make it there for him. What do you guys think? Just put in the comments like, I'm okay with Meghan. I'm yes or no. I'm in the middle. I don't like Meghan, but I don't like this headline either. Like, do you think it was fine? Because that's how tabloids are. I'm really, 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 really curious. But I personally think that this headline is really bad. And like Deborah, if you're in Illinois, because I have a Debbie Doyle that from high school that I know, and we used to call her Debbie. But I did think like you did that the kids in some ways should be there to meet their, to get to know their grandfather a little bit more, right? That was my thought. I don't know if you guys have seen my short. I won't even go into it a whole lot. I believe I did a live about it. Maybe I didn't do a live, but about the custody, the weird custody rule that goes back to the 1600s about the monarch actually having the custody of the heir's children. Like, so the heir and the spare, their children, not so much. They're not going to enforce anything about, like that, but there is that little bit of that. I wonder if Meghan's not bringing her kids over there because she's just afraid that she'll never get them back, and whatever. There's that. I'm sure that's not the case, but whatever. Let me read this. Tell me, guys, your thoughts when you first see this headline. I wasn't going to go live tonight. I saw the headline. I'm like, that has to be a joke. That's a joke. Because obviously for them, it certainly is clickbaity. It's something that you're going to be like, whoa, I need to read that. Like, whoa. They had said that they only wanted Harry anyhow. Now it's a big deal. I'm glad she isn't going. Who will the paper's dog out now? You know what? I feel like they're attacking her more since she isn't there. I feel like in this particular case, she couldn't win. And again, I have seen all kinds of things. Like, I'm not crazy about Meghan and I'm not crazy about Harry right now either, but this I felt like was too much. I know that I'm so happy that you're making long videos now. I've been there. Thank you so much, Marsha. I'm working on it. Definitely working on getting longer videos out. Okay, so let's talk about this article first. I'm going to read 2 articles. We're going to talk about it and then we're going to be done. Because we already discussed the fact that we're happy that Harry's going, right? But so this article with the Sun, with this crazy headline, Meghan snub. The king was there for you, Meghan, on your big day. So sad you can't make it for him. Okay, granted, they do say that this is sort of like, he even gets a wedding ring. He gets this new wedding ring that is him being married to England. So I guess you could see and say that it's like a wedding because it's a big deal. But it says Meghan Markle has turned down an invite to the coronation. Prince Harry will attend, but she will stay in the U.S. despite Charles stepping in to walk her down the aisles at her wedding in 2018. A source said it's sad, but the king understands the situation. Now, there was another article out, I think it was with the Independent, where they're like, he was highly offended and disappointed, but I don't know. Who knows? King Charles is understood to be happy Harry is attending the coronation, but has some disappointment. He will not see Meghan or 2 of his grandchildren. Buckingham Palace confirmed Harry will jet over 5,000 miles from his California home. Apparently, he's staying in Frogmore Cottage one last time because then the cottage goes to whatever. And if you remember, they invested $2.5 million into the cottage, but some people say that the king paid for that anyhow. I don't know. But he will be coming in from his California home to be at Westminster Abbey. His son, Archie's 4th birthday, is falling on the same exact day. Meghan will look after him and the couple's 22-month-old daughter, Lilibet. So many of us were saying, okay, granted, the kid can have a birthday party any single day. He really could. And then he could also have this big event with being, when the king is being crowned, right? Or Harry and Meghan could have both come with the kids. The kids could have stayed at the Spencers. Diana's family is very supportive of them. But so we were all talking about that options. But what do we know? We don't know what all of those options are, right? So 5 years ago, Charles stepped in at the last minute to walk Meghan down the aisle when her dad, Thomas, had a heart attack and pulled out of the wedding at St. George's Chapel, Windsor. A source told The Sun the king is happy that Harry, his son, who he calls his darling boy, will be at the Abbey. He wanted him there. It's sad. He is very disappointed that he won't see Meghan or his grandchildren, but understands the situation. Palace invites were issued to the Sussexes more than 5 weeks ago, but the couple kept the king and queen waiting, even missed the April 3rd deadline. A brief statement yesterday read, Buckingham Palace is pleased to confirm the Duke of Sussex will attend. Okay, so I'm going to read your comments now, and we're going to talk about it. Let me see. I can understand her. Let me see. I want to see where I left off. We got a lot. They had said they only wanted Harry. Okay, we went there. Let's be honest. That would have they would have fussed whether she went or not. I think that is true. I was just surprised. And again, like I was just really surprised at how I thought that her not coming would sort of maybe soften the headlines, but instead it was like, ooh, let's come at her. I wonder what they would have said if she had come. I don't know. I'm not sure. Edward, after he left the royal family, was not invited. That is right. So Edward VIII, who was supposed to be the king, did not come. He did not come to actually even George VI coronation. I can understand her not wanting to subject herself to all the hate and vitriol. She should make the trip to be there personally for the king. See, I think also you kind of had to put on your big girl panties. That's my attitude. Go put on your big girl panties. This is a once in a lifetime thing. If you end up, it's sort of like, I keep thinking of, it's the Star Wars, something like if you do or you don't, both of it's do. I don't know. Whatever. It's the kind of thing where she had, at least if she went, she'd know that, she went. And if it was a bad thing, okay, it was a bad thing. If it was a good thing, it was a good thing. But she could at least have that memory and know that she did that with her kids. Her kids came, stayed in the castle, maybe got to see the king for a hot minute. Maybe they could have stayed the week before, the week after, something like that. But this is like, ooh, I think that this is so intense. I think it's inappropriate that she will not attend. She burned relational bridges. I do think she burned relational bridges. And there's a lot of comments out there that say basically now because this is such a big deal, that she will probably not ever attend another big, event with the royal family. It just won't be happening, because this was the, Mac Daddy of the events. And she didn't come to that. She's not coming to this. And so, and they're showing these images of the king walking her down the aisle, which was it was a very sweet moment. Do you guys remember her wedding? We were all so excited. She was wanting to delete herself. She lost a baby. Why would she go? Yeah, Meghan's pride is going to be hers and Harry's downfall. This is a situation. See, there's just so many mixed feelings. Irregardless, because I know I would have liked her to come too, but we don't know the whole story. Do you guys still think that headline was too much? I personally think it was too much. If she took a dime from the royal purse, she should be there. The coronation, it's ridiculous. I mean, I think that, again, they weren't even going to be there that long. So maybe that was the whole point. Maybe the point was they didn't want them at the dinner. They didn't want them here and there. And so they were going to travel all across the world and not even have an opportunity to spend any time with the king. I mean, we don't know what the terms ended up being. So maybe their thing was like, well, if we're only going to be there for like a little while, why don't you just go by yourself? But they could have also planned a whole vacation thing. So, but we don't know. Maybe she's in production of something. Maybe she's pregnant. Like there are things we don't know. I think she and her encouraged Harry to go. That's enough. That's enough. Okay, so the Sussexes were a distraction at the Queen's funeral, so I'm glad it's just Harry, but I hope he doesn't get too much camera time. I think that he's 1,000% going to get camera time, but I heard that he was going to be kind of in the back, but I don't think, because of all the drama. And here's the thing, like, had they just, just kind of like maybe timed the releases of their books and stuff, maybe till after the coronation, like, just think of that. It really wouldn't be that long. It would just be like another 6 months that they could have waited. And then it could have been more like, okay, let's go. Let's have it like this. Now everybody can freak out after the king has his coronation. There are things, in my opinion, that could have been done. Again, I say this by somebody who's observing so much from afar. She doesn't want to face the royal family, and no child will remember 4th birthday party. Last effort by Harry to get money from daddy. Ooh. Oh my, yes, the kids won't remember. They won't remember, but maybe they'll look back and see and especially Lilibet, 22 months, she won't remember, but I don't know. I just feel like it would be a nice thing, but you're right. There's no babies that are going to be at the coronation service anyhow, and I doubt at their, concerts and the balls, and I doubt that there would have been babies there either. You hate Meghan, so you should be happy she's not going. You can't have it both ways when you decide she should show up. I never said I hate Meghan. I don't hate Meghan. So you should be happy she's not going. You can't have it both ways when you decide she should show up. Okay, I don't hate Meghan. I never said I hated Meghan, but you may be not saying it that way. Sometimes these things are like that. I don't like Meghan, but I thought the British media would not like her at the coronation. And now this is what I'm saying. The only conclusion that I have is that the media and Meghan have a strange relationship. Well, exactly. And this is Harry's whole point, is that they'll do this either way. And I feel like for somebody who, let's say, maybe was leaning more, anybody who was maybe leaning in the way of, okay, well, they should have gone. Was this a snub? I didn't really necessarily think it was a snub. But when you see a headline like that, you're like, okay, I can kind of see what Harry's talking about. Like, was that really necessary? It was a brilliantly worded, timed headline, probably for the newspapers. And it was perfect for shock value, but it was so shocking, in my opinion, that it's just going to put more fuel on the fire for Harry, who's like trying to protect his family. Because, I mean, she was just staying at home, and all of a sudden they're like, let's punch her, like let's give her a blow below the belt. That's what I think. She was doing great, therefore she'll be okay. She'll be headline is factual, however. That is factual that she did get walked down the aisle by him. And when you really think about it, what a nice gesture by him. Really was a nice gesture by him. And I think what an honor to like have the future King of England walk you down the aisle, if your dad can't be there. What a great thing. And he walked, I think, halfway down, and then she walked the rest of the way, which is kind of a style that a lot of people are doing at weddings anyhow. And then she wasn't there for him. And Stephen, you bring up a good point. There is truth to it to a point. I mean, it's just like, whoa. That's probably why it's such a scathing headline, because there is some truth in it. And so could she have maybe sacrificed maybe a little bit of her own needs to say, wow, you mean the king would actually want me there? I didn't even think he liked me, right? So I think it would have been best just to kind of keep it like that, but whatever. Has a lot of faults, but I think the grandkids should be there and their grandpa. Yeah. Well, she wanted all those crowns and tiaras. I feel like this, you'll never see them, but in the tabloids. Should have been released after. Yeah. I mean, it was like, what? December was Netflix. January was Spare. Was it like February or March? February was the live stream. Think about that. All they needed to do, wait till June. Just wait till June. Wait till June to release it. Your grandmother just passed away. Wait until June. But nope. That's not what happened. Won't remember birthday, which is her excuse for not coming. Yeah, so it's I guess that's her excuse. Everybody's judging. Are you all perfect? No, we're not perfect. We're just humans. And here's the thing. I've been in the entertainment business my whole life, and not obviously nowhere near like their level. But here's the thing. When you're in the public eye, this is what happens. And in all honesty, they and I'm not talking just about Meghan and Harry, but your press agents, all of them want there to be conversations about you in order to keep you in the press cycle at some point. How these headlines are done, you may not want that. You want to control it, right? But this is what happens when you're in the public eye. Unfortunately, there are people talking about it. And I feel like in our case, we're just trying to, process this ourselves. We're not perfect. I don't think anybody of us could probably hold up to the scrutiny that they're holding up to. I don't think so. Meghan's doing the right thing. All the hate she gets from the British press. Just look at that awful headline. Meghan, love her or hate her, has risen to a level as an international star. Yeah, I mean, that headline, I think she's going to get more defenders after that one. The kids deserve to know their grandparents and the king. How cool. Okay. So sounds like the squad. Okay. Yep. I don't hate Meghan. I just like her behavior. That's how I feel. And to be clear, this is what I don't like. I don't like, I have a problem if you go back to even them turning down Queen Elizabeth's offer for them to go to Christmas with her at Balmoral or whatever, family Christmas. They didn't go. And this is before they had their falling out. No, not going to go to the Christmas event. I mean, there are things that you cannot get back. You cannot get the time with your grandmother, the Queen. And even the thought of like, okay, let's leave the royal family, but let's make sure that we have time and visits to honor our family while they're still alive, because we may end up regretting it one day. So I have a problem, in my opinion, with what I see. Meghan seems, in my opinion, to not have, even with her sister, okay, maybe she wasn't that close to her sister, but her dad, who she was very, very close to for such a long time. And then it's like nothing. So I don't know. I feel like there's no grace from like Harry and Meghan's side. There's not as much grace. They don't show as much grace. That's why I like that Harry said yes, because it's him saying he's being true to what he said. I love my family, right? But I feel like Meghan could have taken it a step further. But again, we don't really know. So that's just opinions based on, gut feelings. Okay. So if she went, then the British press would say that she stole the show. And that's the thing. I think that she couldn't win, and we weren't yesterday when we had our conversation, we barely talked about Meghan. We were talking about Harry. That's great. We wish Meghan would have gone, blah, blah, blah. But today the headlines were all about Meghan not coming. And it was like snubbed. She snubbed everybody. She snubbed the king. And then this thing was like, well, he was there for you. Why aren't you going to be there for him? And I get it. Like Stephen said, thank you, Stephen, so much. Stephen said, like, it is true, right? But it still was harsh. Okay, this is how she treated the Queen. Well, exactly. It was like, I don't know. And I guess you need an appreciation. You need an appreciation in general for the royal family. For me, this is history and this is part of your family. What an honor. How great. But you have to be able to, humble yourself a bit. And I don't think that that's possible. I don't think that's what they're doing. Okay. It's quite amazing to be able to say the Queen was your great grandmother-in-law. Exactly. Yeah. Or your great grandmother, period, which is what the kids could have said, right? Wait, great. Yeah. Great. Yeah. Great. I'm sorry. Just trying to figure it out for the kids. Yeah. So that because their the kids' grandparents would have been Prince Charles, and the great grandmother would have been the Queen. And so for Meghan, it's just, her grandmother-in-law. But I know. And when you even a moment, because it would be very rare, like even Harry admitted it's very rare to get time with the Queen. Every little nugget of what she would say, every little thing she would say. So every moment is precious, especially as they get older. So I hated I hated the timing of the Sussex's privacy tour. They couldn't wait a year and give it. I know. It's seen. That's the other thing. I feel like there's so much insensitivity. Okay. So I don't think it was a snub. Okay. I don't think it was a snub. It's a couple of things. Knows it will hurt Bran to look like a hypocrite. Doesn't want a visual of her curtsying to those. Oh, she spoke badly about Lorraine. I hadn't even thought about that. And doesn't want to be seen booed. Also, they made demands that were flat out denied. Okay, yeah, I didn't mention that at this one. So apparently they did make some demands. They wanted to be on the balcony. They wanted an invitation for Lilibet and Archie, and they wanted Archie to have a shout out because it's his birthday. So, and they probably needed extra security. I'm just guessing. So they didn't get that. And you're right. There's a lot of things she would have had to have been somewhat abiding by royal protocol, which would have meant a bow or curtsy if she did run into Camilla, especially, and the king. Yeah. Especially after her mocking curtsy. So that is a point that maybe it was too confusing to the brand. But how sad that you have to think like that. And I think that that's probably the complication and how complex it is being a royal, is that it's hard to divide. And I think for all of them, what is family and what is the corporation part of it, the institution. And I think Harry did mention that in his book. The problem is that she wants her title, and she wants titles for her children, but can't make, yeah. So it's the first coronation in 70 years. It's her father-in-law. In my opinion, they haven't even been married long enough to really establish a good relationship. He's in his 70s, but he has a big position. Like, don't take too much time. Your kids grow up too fast, and now they don't even know their grandfather. Like, let them have some time. But maybe they'll plan on a visit after with this. But usually the king and the queen usually have to go on a tour after this. So they took Archie off of the royal board. I heard about that, and never put the daughter on it. But if he wants to see his grandchildren, the granddaughter didn't go to the christening. That is true, but I think it would be so complicated for the royal family, the whole royal family with the king and queen, to get over there with like security and all that. But that is true. Here's the thing. All of this stuff could have been worked out had they communicated. All of them. I'm not talking about Meghan and Harry. I'm talking about all of them communicated. Okay, when are you going to have the christening? Okay, let's try to work it out. And not only communicated, but if people were, able to compromise a little bit. Go Meghan, show them your worth. King Charles and the UK media knew Meghan would be the main attraction. No clown show for Meghan. Yeah, and yet they made it a clown show. I don't know if you were here in the beginning of this, but the headline is so scathing. They made it a headline and made it about her, even when she, in this case, we have to admit, she was not trying to make it about her, I guess, by staying back. And maybe she was trying to stay back in order not to make it into like a big, what show. But then they have to put that and make all of the headlines be that Meghan snubbed them. So she couldn't really win in this particular case. He let himself be snubbed. I don't think she cares about the relationship of her children with the king, because she has a dad in the country she lives in. He doesn't know. That is true. He actually lives in Mexico. He lives in a really awesome place in Mexico, but it's literally, I think he said like a 1 hour flight, like, half an hour, 45 minutes, something like that. And they've never visited. And Meghan's pictures are like plastered all over his place. He's adores his daughter in spite of everything. So that makes me sad too. My dad just passed away this year, had a complicated relationship with him. He was not perfect, but you know what? As you get older, you start to mature and you start to realize, okay, can I love them even in their imperfections, because they loved me when I was totally a hot mess when I was younger. Yeah, absolutely. Regarding missing time with the Queen, excellent point. She has issues. She hates her family and his family. And this is what a lot of people think. Like, you can learn a lot on how people treat their in-laws and their, you can tell a lot, because even if you don't like them, how many of us, come on, let's be real, have had complicated relationships with family members, but we show up to the picnic anyhow. We may even be ticked off at grandma, but like we go to grandma's thing, it takes a lot for a family to be like, let's really cut them off. Unless you're one of those family that cuts everybody off, and that's a whole other thing. If they went and just went in and then left, no issue, no stealing the show, like when they attended the Jubilee, other than the picture they took at the windows of the kids shushing them. Yeah, so there's a big scandal regarding how Meghan and Harry had the birthday party for Lilibet or whatever during the Jubilee, and how crazy that was. Hello from North Georgia. Hello. Meghan has made it her mission to prove that the royals saw her as inferior. This picture tells a different story. Her own family criticizes her character. Yeah. I mean, again, we don't really, here's the thing about the press in general. It's like, we're not really sure. I mean, I just know in this particular case that the headline was like, oh, as Stephen says, sad but true. It's a true, but it's still sad. Interesting that Harry essentially likely didn't go see the Queen at Christmas because of his wife. Now Harry may have put his foot down that he wouldn't miss, yeah, we didn't even get into that maybe they were going back and forth, Harry and Meghan, like, okay, fine, you go. I'm not going to go. Like, maybe it wasn't a united front. We don't know, but he made the right decision as far as coming. I think she should have come too. And again, sort of like showing up to the whatever, like your family reunion. Somebody has his, your parents' 50th wedding anniversary. You're not on the greatest terms with them. You show up anyhow, and then you continue to try to iron it out. She needs to stay on with the kids, let the royals go on and on during the ceremony. So why wouldn't they invite the grandchildren? Okay, so there's a lot, there is stuff in the press with why wouldn't they like the kids kids aren't really invited into that. Now, I know that Louis, he's 4. Okay. So, but he's kind of a later 4, I think. Well, maybe not, but he's invited in, but they still don't even know if he's going to go in. And I don't know if kids got invitations. I did think, because Charles got an invitation to his mother's coronation, and it was the special coronation invitation. I think that they should have at least sent an invite and said, hey, stay here. We're going to have a children's party. You're invited to that. Done. There's enough little kids that are that generation that Archie and Lilibet are, that they could have had, some nannies, have a little kids party, make it into some kind of like little kids coronation. I don't know, something like that. But I don't think there were any kids that got that type of invitation, right? But they could have definitely done that. But I don't think, when we say the kids could come to the coronation, I don't think any of us mean that they were going to be inside the big state event with 2,000 people. Like, they would have had them somewhere else, and Harry and Meghan would have come in, if that makes sense. That's what I think. So Meghan mocking the curtsy was not a good look. Definitely the argument she made about not knowing was disingenuous. That is true. You can't respect adultery and hiding. And this is a hard thing. Something that we don't think about a lot is how hard, like, this is what I think, because I am an empath, or I am empathic. I don't know if, that makes me sound like I'm like from Star Trek or something, but I think I can't imagine what it must feel like for Harry to bow to Camilla. And I know that she's been in their lives for a long time, but when your mother dies like that tragically, and he's still processing this in a major way, he just finally was able to get it off his chest in a book. And yet William went through the same experience. But for some people, depending on how they're wired, watching this and getting and having Camilla be crowned, even the Spencers seeing that has got to be really, really difficult. I'm just saying, again, I can only imagine. So we sometimes forget that there's that aspect. There's that dynamic. This is a child. Harry and Will are children of divorce number one. I was about the same age when that happened. Ooh, okay. Sorry, something popped up. And then, so, and now that they have to see that. So it's, I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Her family sells stories to the tabloids. Are you seriously saying she should be with them? No, but she also has sold them out in many ways. So I think it goes both ways. And I do think, in my opinion, just my opinion, I think that her deal with her dad was very exaggerated. And honestly, even if it was, he's your dad, try to make amends, whatever. Charles was the heir and attended his mom's coronation for half an hour at the balcony appearance. Yeah, so the little ones don't really go that long. Okay. They just kind of stay. So maybe the parents don't want their kids around. Maybe the parents don't want their kids around Archie and Lilibet. The other parents, I don't know. I don't think that would be a problem, but that, you never know. Oh, wait, I got confused. The Queen's is Meghan's grandmother-in-law. Yes. Imagine that. What an honor. I hope she realizes that someday. Yeah. Okay. The British, I do too. The British press has been brutal, but it's not like she's well liked in America either. That is true. Their popularity is below Prince Andrew's. I think we're just defending her because she's our own. She has proven to be far from a decent. I mean, I think that she could have definitely handled it better, a million times better. I think what we're seeing with Meghan, in my opinion, is like the kind of worst aspects of being an American actress. Like, you want fame, you want this, you want that. And we're wired differently in America. Like, we are taught, like with all the social media, with everything, like even what we're doing here, we're taught to sort of seek the limelight. So, and it's only magnified because she's in that position, right? But her job with the royal family would have still been really amazing. She was doing amazing things. She really was. She was doing, creating food kitchens and all the stuff for people. But it seems like she had a hard time sort of like toning down that drive for, that American style fame, but at the same time, in her defense, they needed to figure out how to make money, because even though the royal family was loaded, they would control like all of your money in certain ways. And Harry, yes, he had like $25 million or something like that. But when you want to live high on the hog, it's hard. So what did they do? They chose to choose the American way. That's what they did. Secondly, Harry will fly in, attend the coronation ceremony, and then will go directly, to the airport and leave. He won't see his dad and Camilla up close. And won't have to kiss Camilla's hand as she is now queen. Okay. I'm sure that is yeah. And just to be clear, there's a part of the ceremony that it's called it's like after the oath, when he's crowned and stuff, where they used to have anybody who was a prince would come up to kiss the king's hand, and then also the queen's. And now it's just going to be Prince William doing that. I have to say, Charles always loved Camilla. Yes. And I know that sounds bad, but it is the hard truth. No, it doesn't sound bad. Again, it's complicated. It's complicated because he wanted to marry her in the first place. So we've talked about this before. In some ways, you could definitely make a really good case that of a love story. Like they've wanted this for a long time. So you could look also, if you're not looking through like maybe Harry's eyes or whatever, of what an accomplishment it was that he was in love with her. He finally got to marry her. Now she's the queen, all of that. But so there is another way to look at it. Wacky Willie is following in Chucky's footsteps. I know what you want to do. You want to talk about the potential affair. that'll be for a whole new thing. The entire Abbey will say, God save the king. Yes, that is true. So Harry has to say that. I mean, he could probably close his mouth on that, but yeah. I mean, he's going to have to say that. He's going to have to get used to that because that's his dad. So, okay, now guess what? They're not inviting Fergie. What do you guys think of that? Why are they winning the awards? Because they aren't very popular. Meghan is a millionaire in her own right. Let's make Meghan look bad. That's why they are yeah, I mean, I'm just repeating what is in the polls, like the popularity polls. They're not really all that popular in America as far as royalty is concerned. They're not at the top of the list. So Fergie's not invited. Do we know who's performing? I'm not sure at the concert. I do know that the music in the Abbey is going to be off the chain. It's like Andrew Lloyd Webber, combination of all of this new music. They're having a Greek choir perform there. It's just going to be crazy, amazing music. And there's a lot of drama going on as far as the actual concert. Wow, no Fergie. Yeah. So, and Sam, by the way, I haven't forgotten about your requests. I was thinking about your request today about James I and his cousin, who he was madly in love with. I'm kind of sad because the royal family will not talk with him like in the past. They will be worried about recording. That is a sad thing. Yes, because especially in Robert Jobson's book, he said that they won't even have a conversation with him. Fergie's not a thing. Plus, she must be in the know. You know, what's so weird? Like, honestly, I just found this out. It was only like last year, maybe 2 years, that I remember being so shocked because I didn't realize that Andrew and Fergie had been still together like all of these years, even though they were divorced. Like, they lived together. They really, and then there were talks about Andrew really wanted to remarry her at some point. So, and of course, Eugenie and Beatrice are so important. So, I don't know. It just doesn't seem right. But we don't know what's going on. They should invite Fergie. I think they should. And yes, of course, Sam, Andrew will be there. Andrew will be there. But Fergie, no. Fergie was so good out on the press tour. She's practically supporting Andrew with her children's books. I mean, and I'm talking like even financially. So, no. Okay, my gray wolf. No, I thought they were a part two. They were divorced, but they've been living together for years. And she just always talks about, when you're in love, you're in love. So they are together. And they live in the same place. And she goes and she sells her books and she's Fergie. So anyhow, they're not, yeah. That is the deal. That is the deal. Okay, so I'm about to close things down here. Please do subscribe. Thank you for the super chat. What are they going to do about the protesters? They'll just probably keep them off of the cameras. We probably won't see any of those. But I don't know what they're going to do about protesters. There'll definitely be protesters there because that's a whole other thing. Like, it still bothers me that those diamonds, even though they're not using this Koh-i-Noor diamond that was supposed to be in the Queen's crown, was an Indian diamond that also may have been part of like some kind of Asian dynasty. And then there's the Cullinan diamonds that there's all this question, these South African diamonds, like whether or not they really should have them. So they take the Koh-i-Noor diamond out of the crown and use a different one. But do they say, okay, and we'll give it back to India? No, that's not what we're saying. Okay. Lorraine, you know everything. Okay. Fergie said in an interview in America that she will watch the coronation from home. She didn't expect an invitation. They maintain sewerage wings and a huge castle. They may remarry soon. That's what I hear. Well, when you have a big palace or the Royal Lodge is huge. It's like a $35 million place. And apparently Andrew does not want to leave. They may have separate wings, but best of both worlds, right? So, But yeah, they did say that they may marry soon. She's going to stay at home, always the diplomat. Okay, I'm from South Africa, and it's quite a personal. See what I'm saying? So the Cullinan diamond, they're still there. They don't give those diamonds back. You'll see them. So protesters, some of these protesters may be talking about, I don't know, anything from, I mean, imperialism. There's people who are not monarchists. I mean, I don't even know. We're probably not all monarchists here. I'm American, right? But we kind of are interested in the stories because it's interesting. So yeah, there'll probably be protests over the diamonds, especially because, and then also the British imperialism and slavery, which was, there was one rule, I can't remember which one it was, that wasn't overturned till like 2012. And I'm not kidding. I will find it. And we don't buy, it was a gift story. Yeah. No. And the same thing with the diamond from India. That's the saddest thing. They took that. They had this 10-year-old Maharaja who was intimidated because there was all this war going on. His dad was just like killed. Sign over that diamond. Then they took the kid away from his mother and gave him like different parents, sort of like almost like a forced sponsorship adoption. And then years later, it was said that he kissed the hand of Queen Victoria and said, now I'm glad that I could give this diamond to you, because they made him her godson. But still, I don't think India was so happy about it. But then people were questioning Indians' legitimacy with the diamond as well. So that diamond has a violent history. The only time it changed hand. Okay, so are you talking about the Kohinoor? The only time it changed hand peacefully, yeah, was when India gave it as a gift to England. Yes, but we're not so sure it was not a coerced gift. It was coerced, except for later when the kid became older and was working for the queen. At that point he was like, I'm glad I could give it to you. So, but it does have a history before India had it. But at the same time, they took it out of the crown, but do they give it back? No. So there's a lot of sketchy stuff. And that's why we ask these questions. And getting back to this headline, the headline's awful. The headline is just awful. Again, many of us can see both sides of this, but we do not necessarily agree that headline should have been so blunt. Like, he was there for you. I'm trying to get back to it, but it takes me a hot second to get there. He was there for you. See these pictures with the wedding and everything. Why can't you be there for him? I mean, that just cuts hard. That cuts hard. Many people would say it's a great headline. If you're like an editor and you're trying to sell copies, I'd probably be buying that. I'd be, let me read that. The article itself is just kind of normal, but this is it. Here it is. That's a brutal, brutal headline. The king was there for you. So sad you can't be there for him. And that was the point of our conversation tonight. Doesn't matter whether you like or hate Meghan. She was trying, or I'm not going to say she was trying, because some people could say, oh, she didn't come because she wanted the attention, but that's kind of a long stretch as far as I'm concerned. But she wasn't even there. And then all of a sudden, it's all about her. So I don't think in this particular case, they can blame Meghan for all this particular drama. It's more of them stirring it up. Okay, so guys, thank you. Please do subscribe to Hot for History. Please share. I really appreciate you guys. You educate me so well. And again, I wasn't planning on coming on tonight, but I was just like, stunned by this. Just stunned by that. So good night, everybody, and we will talk to you soon.